When I woke up the other morning, I had no clue I would be viral. It was for all the wrong reasons, but I was trending and trending hard. The problem was I didn't even know it. Let me start from the beginning and let you know that I didn't even want to be on Twitter. When my girlfriend Emmy met me, she called me a semi-thawed Neanderthal for not having the latest iPhone. My parents worked constantly and had their heads buried in any electronic device they could. They said it was for work, but really, they just didn't want to hang out with me. As an only child, I had to find some way to entertain myself. Something far away from the digital world. I took up guitar, and despite being chased out of the house, I became quite good. Well, at least passable to play in some bands and make a few friends. My music career didn't last long, as again, I ran into problems with my social media ignorance. Our band was blowing up, and according to our lead singer, my lack of internet charisma was hurting our brand. I tried my hardest to make interesting posts just like the rest of the guys, but it was more than clear by just looking at our follower count that I was the odd man out. They kicked me out of the band and replaced me with someone far less talented. Their betrayal more than paid off as they quickly blew up a few months later. Turns out, popularity does pay off. Cut off from my family and the only friends I had ever made, I threw myself into work. I was only serving tables during the day, but it let me attend open mic sessions all around the city. I had to say, without the backing of my bandmates, I was far too shy to have any stage presence worth writing back home about. With no social media presence, I was the invisible man, strumming my guitar to no one but myself. I would finish this final gig and make living as a server for the next few years. That was the night I met Emmy. By my final song, she was the last person in the bar, and she even demanded an encore. I had no idea why she took a liking to me, but I took her out that night, and we were soon living together. The first few months were like a fairy tale. I got along with Emmy better than anyone I had my entire life. She and I were total opposites. She was the definition of a socialite, and I was a homebody. We both loved music, and Emmy encouraged me to branch out from the guitar and try new things. I was soon dabbling in classical, electronic, and even took a few classes on the harmonica. I had finally found someone who accepted me and challenged me. I had the best of both worlds. It shouldn't have surprised me that Emmy's patience would wear thin. I should have seen the writing was on the wall when Emmy became obsessed with TikTok. Social media had once again given me a gut punch for not being obsessed with it. Emmy's new strategy was to make our relationship the star of the show. The climax would be our breakup. All of this I had no clue about. The stage was perfectly set for her conclusion, and I, as the antagonist, needed to look the part. The night of our breakup dinner, Emmy picked over me. Everything had to be perfect. You need to look worse. You dress like a bum every day, and tonight is the night you want to look decent. Well, you said tonight was the most important night of your life. I wanted to look good, so I spent some money from my last paycheck. You don't like it? Well, it is a giant leap from the rags you normally wear, but I need you to look like the fashion disaster you usually are. Here, wear this. This is going to pop on my next video. Emmy put out the worst, ill-fitting clothes I had, and we set out for the restaurant with Emmy looking like $1,000,000, and me looking like a charity case. When we arrived at the restaurant, all of her friends were there, and they all had their phones ready. Towards the end of the night, a circle had formed around me, and the stage was set the season finale of Emmy's TikTok relationship. Emmy began to stream to her followers. Hey everyone! As you know, tonight is the night of my emancipation from my boyfriend, who has been a leech on me for the last year. All of you were so right in saying that I am too hot to be with someone like him. I mean, look at what he's wearing to a place like this. Between this and his terrible music, I've had a revelation that I need much better. I deserve much better. The laughs surrounded me. All of Emmy's friends took pictures and videos, and I knew by the time I left that restaurant, I would be the funniest viral video on the internet for the next 24 hours. Emmy had been making hundreds of videos about my pathetic life and her lead up to dumping me. She had constructed her own sociopathic Truman Show with me as the star. Everyone loved Emmy's stunt, and from what I heard, she was quickly moving her way up the ranks of influencers. The one solace I could take is that I didn't have any social media, and I wouldn't know the beating I was taking online. Or at least, that was what I thought. My plan was to throw myself into music. It wasn't long before the music and my personal life quickly became intertwined. One day, while I was at work, I overheard a table of girls talking about their crushes. They're such a good couple. It just makes sense for Emmy and Tatum to be dating, am I right? Totally. She's Instagram royalty, and he's the indie king. I wonder if they'll do a collab. I looked over their shoulders for confirmation, and sure enough, there was my old lead singer Tatum with my ex Emmy. I had spent the last 6 months studying and perfecting my music until I finally felt I was ready to shop it to record labels, and with one picture, my confidence had been crushed completely. I should accept that I had missed the boat social media-wise, and that was my own mistake. There was no way I was going to get ahead in anything with no social media presence. I quit my job. I didn't want to do anything, and I spent the next month in bed. I sold my guitar and musical equipment, stewing in my loneliness. Occasionally I would go for walks, and soon I found something quite odd happening. I was beginning to get looks from people on the street. Mostly girls. This had to be the backlash from Emmy's video about me. I thought I was the laughingstock of the internet until one of the hottest girls I had ever seen ran up to me. I need you to do the background music for my videos. You're Alex, right? DJ Alex? That's my name, but I think you have the wrong Alex. I've never DJ'd in my life. This is your music though, right? She held out her phone, and soon enough, the different sounds I'd created were turned into a driving techno beat. A beat I hadn't come up with. I'd become the hottest producer in the city without even trying. Apparently, all the influencers in the city were using my music for their videos. It wasn't long before I had a line of the top female influencers at my door begging me to make music exclusively for them. I agreed under a few conditions. The first was I wanted to remain anonymous. If Emmy didn't know I was in this scene, then she couldn't sabotage me. The second was I didn't want to be locked into working for only one influencer. I wanted all of them. My moment to strike would be at the annual VidCon. All the biggest social media personalities would be there, and I needed a big audience for my reveal. In the weeks leading up to the convention, I contacted the top 20 biggest names across all the platforms, and I was pleasantly surprised to see my reputation had preceded me despite doing no work. The day finally came, and I made sure all my new influencer girlfriends met me at the entrance. Each one of them were dying for their own custom music, and I was happy to oblige. It was well worth it when I walked in with 10 of the hottest influencers on my arm. Emmy couldn't believe that I was the star of the show, and she and her new boyfriend were inconsequential. The organizers of the convention saw my arrival as the perfect opportunity to promote their event, and soon I was sitting at the judges' table and my talents were the grand prize. Emmy ran up to the judges' table faster than I'd ever seen her move. Alex, is that you? I'm so glad to see your little music thing worked out. I just feel so fortunate that I was part of your success. I put your little jingles on my TikTok stories to show my followers exactly what I needed to move on to a real musician. Somehow it blew up. I think I deserve at least a cut of the profits you're making from all these other Instagram skanks. Turns out, Emmy in her ignorance had uploaded a mix of my beats that luckily went viral. She had accidentally made me into a star, and I was going to make sure she regretted it. Actually, all of that material is copyrighted under my name, and I've signed deals with all your competition to make them the hottest tracks. I hope your new boyfriend can provide you with tracks as hot as mine. Emmy stood there shocked as a swarm of girls gathered around me, hoping I would score all their videos with my music. I'll tell you what, Emmy. I won't mind knocking a few dollars off my going rate since you're an old friend. Let me know when you come up with a couple grand and maybe we can talk.